I wanted to talk a little bit about Rooted. This is a game that was announced years ago now, and it actually got quite a lot of people hyped. I think what was coming through it was a need for more survival games. After DayZ has been around for over a decade now, and still probably hasn't captured the hearts of a lot of people, there needed to be something else that came into this framework. Especially since titles like The Day Before were not just disappointments, but outright disasters. Rooted was supposed to be something a bit different. It's an upcoming survival game that captured everybody's attention. Developed by Headlight Studios, this game is set in a post-apocalyptic world. I mean, that was kind of a given, where you need to use every ounce of your wits and skills to stay alive. In this video, we're going to be exploring everything we know so far, including the latest gameplay reveal that, I mean, this is insane. We've got over 20 minutes of raw gameplay, so we actually have a good idea of how this title is going to be. But first of all, let's get straight into it. Set in the year 2100, Rooted places you in a world devastated by global bacteriological warfare. Yes, that is definitely a word. Humanity is nearly extinct. The nature, though, is reclaiming the ruins of this once thriving civilizations, and this is one of the main selling points. In some of the trailers that we got, we can see skyscrapers that have been reclaimed by nature, vines weaving through the windows, cascading down the side of concrete. You are one of few survivors, and your mission is to explore, adapt, and rebuild. The world, though, is vast, from lush forests to decaying urban environments, each offering unique challenges and resources. The game emphasizes realism and immersion, promising a survival experience that's both challenging and rewarding. At this point in time, it's looking closer to a game like Scum and slightly mixed in with those DayZ elements, but hopefully we're not going to, well, the Day Before level of over-exaggerating the ability of the developers, but we'll ignore that for now. At the core of Rooted lies a rich tapestry of gameplay mechanics designed to keep you on your toes. Survival is not just about scavenging for food, it's about building a sustainable life in the world that is actively trying to kill you. Early on, you'll establish your first camps, which serve as your base of operations, and you have your general survival mechanics here. Crafting, this is very crucial, having workbenches to be able to create and repair items that are essential for your survival and progress. Speaking of progress, as you go throughout the game, you'll unlock advanced blueprints, allowing you to build better tools, fortification, and automated defenses just in case there's some pesky PvE or even PvP situations that you encounter. The game's crafting system is designed to be intuitive yet deep, ensuring that every decision you make has tangible impact on your survival. We still haven't had too much in terms of delving into it at this point in time, but I can expect that we're getting something that we've probably seen before. These open world post-apocalyptic games kind of follow the same blueprints, but try and have a unique selling point in terms of setting or at least execution, as we'll get onto. The exploration within the routing, though, is somewhat of a selling point for the title. As mentioned, the game's world is very expansive and with different biomes, like forests where you can get most of your resources, but there will be some ecological dangers, let's say. You might get eaten by a bear. Meanwhile, venturing into the cities are high-risk, high-reward scenarios. There'll be valuable tech and supplies, but so are human factions in environmental hazards like toxic spawns around any corner. These areas require specialized gear, adding to a layer of strategy to your exploration. Every location in Rooted tells a story, from the remnants of the war-torn street to the once bustling markets that are now eerily silent. But this isn't just a solo experience. We've kind of had a look around the setting and the background of the game, but let's actually delve into some of these core mechanics and what you can expect from your average gameplay. It shines within its multiplayer. You can team up with friends to tackle the game's challenges together, sharing your resources and strategies, or you can go at it alone if that's more your thing. But this game's selling point is really the communication between you and your friends or even enemies. It has in-game voice over IP, which means that you can scream racial slurs at people that are attacking you, or you can be really nice and help a wounded Bambi if they so need it. If you're looking for more than just co-op play, though, the game also features dedicated PvP servers where you're able to test your skills against other players in a fight for survival, where only you, being the strongest, or I guess more importantly, the smartest, might survive. The game's world is littered with remnants of the past. Old technology, broken weapons, and discarded materials. But it's not just about what you find, it's about what you can do with it. Being able to repair and upgrade your equipment is essential, as the game's threats will increase over time. You're not just defending yourself against the elements, but human enemies. And because we're set in the future, like any post-apocalyptic survival game, there are some remnants, broken down robots that will hunt you if you're not careful. Do you know that hypothetical question about the would you want $1 million if there was a snail chasing you for your whole life? Well, it's like that, but you don't get the $1 million, and the snail is a deadly killing robot. So you've got to fortify your camp. As time progresses, these enemies also become more and more aggressive. The snails get more and more armor, better and better weapons, forcing you to constantly adapt your defenses. So the game is a pretty standard survival game, but it seems to have caught people's attention. And why is this? Because, I mean, it's not gone particularly under the radar. Its community is currently thriving, and whilst it's kind of slinked off into the background from the mainstream, there are still a lot of people talking, playing, and testing it in its alpha versions. Yes, it is currently in a playable form. There was a Kickstarter in the early days where over 2,500 supporters raised over $120,000, which meant that the developers were able to bring this ambitious project to life. And because of this overwhelming support, there was a lot of fans on Discord and the forums talking about it, and as mentioned, testing it at this point in time. Early backers have also had access to alpha and beta versions, as we're about to see. Because let's talk about some of the latest news that's got everybody buzzing. And this is the huge gameplay reveal. So without further ado, let's head into it. We can already see in the bottom left, I don't know if you saw it flashed up, but the on-game chat. This is the Alpha 1. From the first bit of exploration that we've been shown, but as you can see, there's a lot coming, especially the combat in Phase 4. Already, they have plenty of stuff to show off in their alpha version with, well, the multiplayer specifically. Being able to interact with everything from picking up loot, whether it's medical supplies or food, and of course, everything seems to be flowing pretty smoothly. These are the, well, disgustingly overrun buildings that actually are such a nice aesthetic and one of the main selling points for the game that I absolutely adore. I love how there's pretty much no lag between the players as well. This is something that we see a lot in these early alpha tests and versions, and it's kind of forgivable because getting servers to work properly is a completely different beast. It's one thing developing a game for single player, and then actually getting it to work on all clients is completely different. You can see the flashlight on the chest, which is very iconic. In fact, it's actually giving me some sort of PTSD flashbacks from the day before. I really goddamn hope this does not turn out the same way. However, it's had a completely different route in terms of its promotion. They've just put stuff out and they let people enjoy it. Whilst they have taken money from Kickstarter, it seems that this community is still very much on board with it, and it seems that everything seems pretty transparent. And I mean, releasing this amount of gameplay is almost more than the day before did in the 4 or 5 years of its promotional material. So I'm not quite as worried as I think some people might be. Heading into here, we've got sort of a survey area, CCTV cameras that are of course no longer working because electricity is a thing of the past, apart from, well, the batteries that we have. Inventory system, very, very basic. I think it probably should do with some improvement. It does look like there isn't much selection between backpacks and what you can keep in clothing. I guess we'll see that a little bit later on. And here we get a bit of a look at vaulting, jumping over things. It's debatable to see how smooth that is. It kind of feels a little bit clunky at this point in time, but hey, we can take what we can get at this point. And we're heading off into the wilderness to do a little bit more exploring. Why are they coughing? Well, they're coughing because, as you can see in the bottom left, we have our meters. Not just our heart rate monitors, but we have our food and our water, as you'd expect in a survival game. And then the percentage meter is how much that this bacteriological warfare has had an effect on us. Yes, you have to make sure that you do not die and become part of, well, the dead, because it gets pretty brutal. So not only do you have to pay attention to your normal things, food, water, stamina, making sure you're not having a cardiac arrest, but also making sure you're taking enough medical supplies, keeping your gas masks on when you go into toxic areas, because that percentage of chemical ingestion can have effects on you. And, well, as we can see, coughing can get worse and worse and worse until you are nothing but a small little corpse on the floor. as we skip forward into the underground bits, our infection has gone up to 31%, 37%, and constantly rising as we get into more toxic areas. And well, if we listen closely, you can hear the effect that that has on everybody around. The coughing is getting worse and worse. God, you're gonna choke up your lungs at this rate, mate. It's actually a little bit disgusting, but I kind of love it. So, as it starts to rise, as we go into toxic areas, how do we manage to counter that? Well, this is where exploring and looting kind of has to be a constant within this game, because you can never really stop in one place for too long in case it gets too much. Heading into medical areas like this, you're more likely to find antidotes. These antidotes are going to stop you from getting too bad, and injecting them inside your veins is going to go all Jesse Pinkman. Instead of crying and screaming on the floor for crack den, though, you're going to get rid of all that infection. We can see the percentage starts to drop lower and lower and lower, and you're going to take some for later if you want to stab it into your friend's neck. If you want to be a good person, at least. Oh, there's some water. How nice. As mentioned, this gameplay's huge focus is on exploration. That's about the most that we get within the title, and we'll see a little bit of combat later on as they release more stuff. But so far, Rooted is incredibly ambitious, but it looks like they're taking their time with it. You see, the problem with the day before is they released everything at once. They released these pre-scripted slices of their title that showed everything from exploration to combat to huge cities to zombie hordes. And that's not what's going on here. This is clearly a ground-up recreation of the zombie survival genre, and hopefully adding something a little bit different. So much work has been put into the environments here, and of course, it seems to be working as a title, as a functional game. Even though it seems very basic and not too much is going on at this point in time, I am very, very positive towards what they've been working on. Of course, there's always a healthy amount of skepticism with things like this, but with the right amount of communication and transparency from the development team, which seems like the direction they're going, there isn't too many doubts that I have at this point in time.